Welcome to Old Game Plus, and for this 150th episode of New Game Plus, we thought we'd talk about our first gaming experience. And both of us, our first gaming experience was on a Commodore system.
Yes, and like many good gaming stories, this one starts with Nazis.
Yes.
The Commodore was started by a man called Jack Tramiel. He was a Polish Jew. He was forced to work in German factories during the war, spent a bit of time at Auschwitz, and after the war went to America and started an office supplies company specialising in calculators, until one day his chief designer came to him and said, the future is in computers, not in calculators. And so that started Commodore at the time down a path that led to...
Well, it led to the VIC-20, which was my first computer system, first gaming system. I remember playing lots of text adventures on it. So you'd be in a room, you'd say, okay, search room, you'd find a key, you'd use key on door, unlock door, that kind of thing. They were pretty cool at the time. Used text passes to understand what you wanted to do next. I also played a lot of Pac-Man clones, because Pac-Man was huge at that time. The VIC-20 went from 1980 to 1985. What I really wanted at the time, though, was a Commodore 64.
One of these?
But I'm still appreciative that I got a VIC-20 as my first system.
Well, this is the first one I started playing games on. And interesting you mentioned Pac-Man, because that was actually Jack Tramiel's favourite game, apparently.
Yes.
Now, the Commodore 64 is still the longest selling or longest running single model of computer ever.
And one of the highest selling, too.
Yeah, 1982 to 1994. Jack Tramiel took a massive gamble with it in 1982, gambling that RAM prices would drop. He desperately wanted to have 64K of RAM. It was a lot back then. And so it did drop. And then...
Which was a huge jump from the VIC-20, which only had 5K.
Yes, and at the time it was a lot. And what also happened at the same time was the video game market crashed spectacularly.
And the computer industry survived through that, which is spectacular in itself, because they were selling 400,000 of these, or making 500,000 of these during the video game crash.
Per month. And the genius was that even though everybody used these to play games, they were being sold to everybody as computers. So parents were buying these as computers, and everyone played games. Now, some of the games, they did have great games, great arcade ports, things like Arkanoid, Ghosts and Goblins. It even had Donkey Kong on there.
Yeah.
One of the highlights for me and my friends late high school years, early uni, was all the summer games, winter games, world games, playing all the adding up the gold. So it was great. This really was, and for a lot of people would be out there, their very first gaming memory. Great computer. First Commodore, thank you very much for what you gave both of us.